Welcome to episode 64 of the Brainy Business, Understanding the Psychology of Why People Buy. Today's episode is about creating a physical representation of concepts. Ready? Let's get started.
You are listening to the Brainy Business Podcast, where we dig into the psychology of why people buy and help you incorporate behavioral economics into your business, making it more brain-friendly. Now here's your host, Melina Palmer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melina Palmer, and I want to welcome you to the Brainy Business Podcast. Last week, in honor of my research paper coming out, I gave you tips for running experiments in your business. The general tips were to keep it small, be thoughtful, and test often. To learn the best ways to experiment in your business, add episode 63 to your queue and listen to it after this one. And I'm so excited that next week will be the episode where I can finally share about my study on increasing savings behavior and its results. Hooray! That is why we're talking about the physical representation of concepts today, as that is the last main item from my study to be outlined on the podcast. Some of the others, like reciprocity and time discounting, have had their episodes already, and I've linked to both of those in the show notes if you want to brush up on them before next week. And speaking of next week, can I take a moment to share the super exciting and amazing and awesome and fantastic thing that's happening? The Brainy pricing course materials will all be live. You may remember I talked about this a few weeks ago as we were in the pre-sale, and thank you to everyone who took advantage of that. It was a truly humbling experience to see your warm reception to my first course, and I appreciate you all. And your materials will be available and launched for you on Monday, September 9th. If you would like to tackle pricing and have a solid strategy that incorporates behavioral economics so you can increase leads and conversions, this course is for you. And of course, I want to reward you for being a loyal listener with a discount code. If you want to take advantage of the bundle with the full 10-module course and a seat at one of my half-day virtual workshops, which is $7.98 if you buy the pieces separately and $6.99 if you buy the bundle up front, I will give you an extra $100 off, bringing it down to $5.99 when you use the code BRAINY100 off, BRAINY 100 OFF. The details are, of course, in the show notes for you. And if you want the course only, which is $3.99 at regular price, you can get $50 off, bringing it down to $3.49 for all 10 modules, tons of great videos and custom worksheets that you can only find in the course. That code is BRAINY50 off, BRAINY 50 OFF. All the details for the pricing course and the links to claim your spot are at thebrainybusiness.com/courses. And lastly, if you want to test out a module to see what a piece of the course is like, I've turned the mindset module into a freebie for you. There is a link for you in the show notes to grab yours and start mastering your mindset. I look forward to helping you create brainy pricing for your business through this course. And if you're curious where to find those show notes, they can be found within the app you're listening to or at thebrainybusiness.com/64. If you're already a member of the Brainy Business email list, you receive all the updates in the email you get from me every Friday, including a link to the super secret subscribers page of the website with all the freebie worksheets. The course freebie I just mentioned, Master Your Mindset, is a little different, as it's housed in Member Vault, which is the site for the courses, but there is a link to get there and access Member Vault on that page as well. If you're not yet on the list and would like to be, simply sign up for any freebie and you'll be automatically added. And for those of you in the States, you can sign up easily by texting the word Brainy, BRAINY, to 33777. You'll be added to the list and get a free copy of my ebook as a thank you. All right, let's dig in on the physical representation of concepts. The first thing I want to mention is that this isn't really a topic you can look up. From what I've seen, there aren't really papers or extensive research on it. Perhaps I'll change that soon. Instead, it's more of an accepted premise, and I'll tell you why as we go through the episode. This title, therefore, the physical representation of concepts, or the physical manifestation of concepts, I might say throughout, is an amalgamation of various other concepts. And it's important for you to understand in business when communicating with other people. If you remember from past episodes, I've talked about how the brain works on associations. First, if I say the word apple, your brain will pull up everything that's associated with apple and everything that it's not, from the fruit to the company, colors, flavors, shapes, memories, emotions, everything. When I say something even simpler, like yellow triangle, your brain will filter through those two concepts in their singular forms, yellow, the color, and all the colors it's not red, orange, or blue, but yellow, and shapes, not square, circle, or rhombus, but a triangle, and combine them together for you. There's not a separate category in one area of your brain for all the different colors of triangles and then all the different colors of circles, but instead they are two different things housed in their own areas, so to speak, which are combined together almost instantly for you to understand what a yellow triangle is. What I want you to do now is think of the difference in these two experiences. If we were talking about road signs, which one is a red octagon? It's pretty easy. You probably said stop sign right away and maybe had a vision of one in your mind. Now, if I asked you to name a sign that is a yellow triangle, was that as easy? In case you're still racking your brain, many yield signs are yellow triangles. Can you see it now? Why is it so much easier to know what to do when you see the sign or know the meaning of it than to come up with it out of context? This is why the physical representation of concepts is important. If every sign was a white square with black letters and one said stop and the next said merge and the other said pedestrian crossing, the brain would not be able to distinguish as quickly what it's supposed to do, and we'd probably have a lot more accidents. The colors and shapes bring a physical presence that can be recalled easier, and this can only happen when they're not replicated. Stop is arguably the most important sign out there, which is why it's red and a specific shape, unlike any other sign. All yellow and orange signs, triangles, diamonds, or pentagons, are probably telling you to use some sort of caution. People are crossing, construction ahead, merging traffic. You get these signals because your brain has been trained to recognize this physical representation of the concept of using caution. Of course, this goes far beyond street signs and does not have to be a rule for everyone. You can use this concept to your advantage and stick around for my tips on that at the end of the episode. So what's the benefit for a business in giving a concept a physical manifestation, you may ask? Well, you see them every day and maybe don't even realize just how often, but a logo is a physical representation of the concept of a business. Can you imagine how different business would be without logos? Being able to say, the swoosh, not the three-striped triangle, means something when buying athletic shoes. Or, not the bird, the one with the ghost, helps people to understand what social channel you care about. The physical manifestation of the brand makes the business more real in your mind because there's a logo to relate to. You see those logos all the time, and they're constantly pinging your visually driven subconscious brain, which is categorizing it into a folder somewhere in your mind for later use. Think about your phone. What if the icons for your apps had to be full words and not images? What a terrible experience trying to find what you're looking for. And why does a colon next to a parenthesis mean a smile or a frown? They're just punctuation, but they have a deeper meaning to us because they're a physical manifestation of the emotion behind the text. They remind you of someone smiling, frowning, or winking. While this is not exactly the same as anthropomorphism in every context, which is when animals or objects are given human-like tendencies, it can be a very similar concept, and there's some crossover because it helps you relate to the item in question. Physical representation can do two big things for a business. First, it can make an abstract concept more real and impactful. And second, it can tie back to an emotion or memory or other association you want to remember. Abstract concepts are everywhere in business, and they can easily cause miscommunication in conversations or messaging. Providing a physical reference point makes everything feel more real. For example, last year, I was in an Italian restaurant and someone I was dining with asked the waiter to recommend a specific type of pasta over another, which was their favorite. The waiter then went on to explain that the house pasta was incredibly popular and that they make some gargantuan amount, let's say 18,000 pounds of it every summer. That's fine, an impressive number, sure, but it doesn't really mean that much to me. Because I'm not a maker of pasta myself, I don't own this type of business. Maybe it would make me wonder how much a normal pasta place makes every year. How many patrons do they have? How many locations? How much do they sell of the other types of pasta? If it had ended there in the explanation, it might not have been helpful, but he then went on to add that it was enough to wrap around the earth 5 times. And then he told about the history and how it was the most popular style they make by far. Awesome. The concept of wrapping around the earth is one I know means there's a lot of it. That's a lot of noodles. And he mentioned they only had 2 locations, so that's a lot of noodles per table. And it means something more than just the weight. This is why businesses will say things like, printing on both sides of paper has allowed us to save 100 square miles of forest. It's still conceptual, but it feels tangible and makes the point more impactful for the customer. My husband and I have been on a cleanup and minimalization effort for a while now. We're both pretty immersed in the if we don't need it, get rid of it approach to life and things. We're constantly looking for ways to reduce the stuff in our lives and home. This weekend, we jumped into a massive reorganization project aimed at reducing the stuff in our house and moving the things we were going to keep to more suitable locations. We've been living here for just over a year, so we have a better idea of how we're going to use the stuff that we want to keep. So things we had been housing upstairs moved into the kitchen. Some items in my office went upstairs. We made all sorts of changes. In that process, we had a conversation about DVDs or Blu-ray discs, which I know are not interchangeable, but I'm going to use them that way here. We only have a few physical movies these days, ones that are sentimental to us. I have all the Harry Potter movies because I love them and they're fun to watch with the kids, but who are we kidding? They're for me. I also have the Back to the Future trilogy because it's my absolute favorite, and Aaron bought them for me as a gift. I had bought him the Indiana Jones series, which is his favorite as a gift previously. Plus, there were a couple others. We had about 20 total DVDs. Aaron figured out that we could convert them all to digital copies for only a couple of dollars each. And then we could get rid of our DVD Blu-ray player. We also recently got rid of our cable box. It's a whole thing. So he asked how I would feel about giving up the physical discs. And it felt awful. At first, I told him no. I knew we could part with them at some point, but it felt like it would be giving up these important, sentimental items to get rid of the physical discs. Even though, of course, we would still have access to the movies, and they would actually be easier to watch on multiple screens. I could watch them on my iPad while traveling, and we wouldn't run the risk of them breaking or being lost or have the burden of the physical clutter. In almost every way, it would be a benefit to get rid of the physical representation of the movie experience and have them only digital. So why did it seem so hard? The physical, tangible representation, the box and the disc itself, was tied to my emotional center, and it triggered my loss aversion when we had the conversation. I didn't want to give that up. And even though I wasn't losing the function, it was hard to see that without keeping the physical form, at least at first. Fortunately, I was working on this episode at the same time and was able to kind of get over that potential burden. So I'm happy to say that we donated all of those physical discs today and found a family home for the DVD Blu-ray player. So in your business, where could you reverse the process and find a spot to inject physical form where only concept exists today to make your business something more tangible and sticky for your customers? Not having a physical location or products for people to touch and experience is something my clients talk with me about all the time. As I've mentioned before, I have an extensive background in financial services. Checking accounts, savings accounts, loans, and memberships are basically concepts. You can try to give them a physical representation, but few have done this really well. This is where Progressive made a huge leap past its competitors. By introducing the Name Your Price tool, they took a concept and made it tangible, even though it's only in commercials. They have aisles like you would see in a grocery store in those commercials with boxes labeled auto insurance, home insurance, or multi-car discount that people can pick up and hold in their hands. Even in the all-white background, you feel the vastness of the types of policies and offerings they have without them having to say it. This is the benefit of a physical manifestation. Saying we have all sorts of policies does not have the same impact on the brain as the image of rows and rows of aisles stacked high with a plethora of boxes to choose from. Beyond that, they introduced the box as a character using anthropomorphism, making him relatable and bringing the concept into further recognition in the brain. While this may seem common enough now, it was a huge departure from what the competition is or was doing. Now think about your financial institution. You want to get a car and you need a loan for it. You don't go pick a box off the shelf or even consider them in that way. I want to ask you now, what is a loan? How does your brain categorize that? It's this intangible experience you would probably rather not think about too much. And financial institutions could really take a lesson from Progressive and that box tangible approach. And while it isn't all about insurance, Allstate has done a great job of this on their Mayhem commercials as well. There are, of course, links to all those commercials in the show notes for you at thebrainybusiness.com/64. So, why does this benefit your business and why would you want to do it? When you take something from conceptual to tangible, it makes it easier for the brain to categorize, relate, and remember. Saying, lots of people like our service is not the same as being able to show a 5-star rating. No words needed. People automatically get it on a deeper level than they do when it's explained. This is why pictures are worth 1,000 words. So are logos, icons, and other representations. They make your business and its features feel real, something people can hold in their hands, love, and experience, even when you don't have physical products. The second way that physical representation is helpful is that it can help remind you of associations you've made previously or of what is important to you. In my savings study, which I'll talk about in more detail next week, one of the groups was given a refrigerator magnet that they could scratch off a spot each week to mark their savings progress. by having a physical item in a place they would see regularly on the refrigerator. It was constantly reminding their subconscious brain, and sometimes conscious brain, that they made a commitment to save, that saving money is important to them, that they're the type of person who saves money, or possibly remind them of what they're saving for. Technology is great, but reminders hidden in an app or emails that get ignored don't do the same thing as that physical item. If you give away items to customers, perhaps you put your logo on pens or a mouse pad, that can help them to remember you. The key is they have to actually want to be seen with the item or have it out to use it. If you make your logo so gigantic that it takes away from any aesthetic benefit, it probably won't be used as much. But if you can relate the item to something people like and want to use, you might not even need your full name or logo on it for people to be in on the fun and wanting to be associated with your company, even if they don't realize how that concept is manifesting itself in their daily life. Let's say I came out with keychains or mouse pads or wall art that said "Be Thoughtful" on it, and there was a new one every year. It doesn't have to say the Brainy business in big letters or have my URL. The people who love the show would know what it was and what it meant, and it would help them to be more thoughtful in their day, which is awesome. I'm actually really liking this idea, so let me know if you would want some Be Thoughtful art or something if I started to sell that. Or if I had t-shirts for sale that only had the rocket ship on them. And maybe it said "Be Thoughtful" or the little cartoon of Brain you may have seen on my social media. If you haven't seen him, you can check him out as The Brainy Biz on all the socials, and there are links in the show notes if you want to check that out. If these items were covered in words and made to be about me, they would not be of use to anyone. It's important to make these items something people would want to have and use first, and have them be a physical manifestation of the brand and what it's about. A strong brand is able to live through the lack of words and evoke feelings. They leave an impression even without their name. Again, this is the power of great logos and colors, and I've linked to the episode on color theory for you as well. All sorts of companies give out calendars, and some might be refrigerator magnets. But those can be so small, they aren't really functional other than knowing the days of the week. And people have phones now, so it isn't as useful as it used to be. But what if it had a little extra information no one else could give? In one place I had lived, the waste management company gave out new refrigerator magnet calendars every year. And they had all the days of the month, sure, but they also had marked which days were for which pickups at my particular house. No more wondering if it was recycling week or not and peeking outside to see if the neighbors had put out their cans yet. I can just glance at my fridge. And are they picking up on the holiday or the day before or after? Check the fridge. Their name, number, and logo were on there, and I was happy to keep that item because it made a concept of the experience with them tangible, and it made me think of them as smart and as caring about me. These were all things that I could associate with the brand, even when I didn't have a choice of using someone else, but I'm able to think of them differently. What could your business do to be a constant association and reminder in the brains of your customers? And one important note is to remember where the association is taking place and what that says for and about your overall brand. I remember when I was at the credit union, we had all sorts of swag items we would give away, from coffee mugs to mouse pads, pens to umbrellas, and everything in between. We had reusable shopping bags when Seattle stopped allowing plastic bags. We had bicycle seat covers for when the credit union started doing bike loans. We were a financial institution that also allowed for dogs to come into most of the locations and were very pet and family friendly. We even had dog days events, which encouraged people to bring their dogs into the branch and get treats and take pictures and all sorts of things. I remember the branch staff recommending items to put our logo on and give away at these events. One of them was that they wanted the collection bags and little containers that go on leashes for dog waste pickup to have our brand and name on. Because sure, everyone needs to keep and have that item. And sure, that would have likely ensured usage from a lot of people and a lot of eyes on the logo. But I didn't want the concept of waste or garbage or you know what to be associated with the brand in any way. We went with tennis balls instead. Those small associations matter. And even if you think it's just good to be seen and that the specifics aren't important, they absolutely are. I've linked back to the episode on priming to remind you a little bit about the importance of that again as well. You don't want to be associated with the physical manifestation of a negative concept. I want the Brainy business to be associated with higher levels of thinking, with strategy and the brain. That's where to start when considering ways to help my brand, a concept, become something tangible, a physical representation that can remind people of something positive or helping them to reach and aspire to new heights. For your business, consider the emotions you want to convey, the things you want people to think or feel when they consider your brand, or when they might be most likely to need your brand. What can you provide that will help them and remind them of you at those critical moments? What are the best associations for your business? And how can you keep on the radar of the subconscious of your current or potential customers? Think about if you were going to be selling jelly, where would you want to put it in the grocery store? Near the peanut butter or the bread or both. That all matters in those associations that are being made. You might buy peanut butter without jelly. Most people buy them together. And it's important to be tied in with those associations and take advantage of those connections that are being made in the brain. And as I said earlier in the episode, you can create these links for your own mindset and personal approach to life and business. And they only need to mean something to you, these associations you're making. They don't have to make sense to everyone else. You can strategically create visuals around what you are wanting to do to help you achieve your goals. What you surround yourself with has a huge impact on your approach to life, business, and your success. This is priming in action. And I want to help you surround yourself with the right physical representation of the concepts you care about to help you be successful. Do you remember I mentioned earlier in the episode, there's a freebie module available for you. It's called Master Your Mindset, and it's foundational in every Brainy course, which is why I chose it as the free test module for everyone to be able to access. There is a link for you in the show notes, and you can also get to it off the courses page of the website. It has videos and worksheets and other supplemental materials to help you turn the concept of your goals into physical items that can boost your productivity and success. Go check it out using the links at thebrainybusiness.com/64 to get your own Master Your Mindset free module. And if you like that module, I hope you'll consider moving forward with a full course. Your discount codes are in the show notes for this episode and within the Master Your Mindset module as well to make it easy for you to take advantage of those when you're ready. But if you want to write them down now, you can use Brainy 100 off, which is BRAINY 100 OFF for the bundle of the course and the workshop, or Brainy 50 off for the course only. Learn more and sign up at thebrainybusiness.com/courses. And just like that, episode 64 on the physical representation of concepts is done. Next week, we'll be digging into my newest research project. Hooray! It's going to be awesome. You won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks again for listening and learning with me. And remember to be thoughtful.
Thank you for listening to the Brainy Business Podcast. Melina offers virtual strategy sessions, workshops, and other services to help businesses be more brain-friendly. For more free resources, visit thebrainybusiness.com.